Good afternoon and welcome to the January 13th, 2026 meeting of the Georgetown County Council. Please take time to silence your cell phones so we can all be present for the information to be present. Note for the record, we do have a quorum. We do want to recognize Dr. Bethany Giles for being here tonight, and also A.D. Jordan from Senator Tim Scott. Welcome to both of you. We will now move down to, please join us as Councilor Bishop Cooper leads us in the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray at this time. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts as we begin this first council meeting in 2026. Thank you for granting us the privilege and responsibility to serve the people of our county. As we step into this new year, we ask for your wisdom to guide our decision, your strength to carry our duty faithfully, and your grace to work together in unity and respect. Bless every council member, staff, and citizen represented here today. Help us to lead with integrity, seek justice, and pursue peace in all that we do. May our decision tonight bring forth ideas that uplift our communities, strengthen families, and promote fairness and opportunity for all. Lord, we dedicate this year work into your hand. Let all that we do bring honor you and to bless and to benefit those who we serve. It is in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Move down to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the agenda as published?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Newton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Lewis. Morant. It's been a long time since we met. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? The agenda is approved. Move down to special reports and presentations. Our nonprofit spotlight is Caring and Sharing. Georgetown County and the Francis P. Bunnell Foundation are partnering to spotlight a local nonprofit. This week's featured nonprofit is Caring and Sharing. Mr. Sel Hemingway, the Assistant Director and Board Member, will present. Mr. Hemingway, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of council, I thank you for the opportunity to be here and be able to promote our nonprofit. I want to take this opportunity also to thank you for your service, and I can tell you firsthand how thankless it is, so I thank you for that as well. I was hoping we'd have some big controversial issue here tonight and have a bigger crowd for me to kind of lobby contributions for my nonprofit, but I'll do a good job and try to work on the group that I have. As Chairman Elliott pointed out, I am the Assistant Director for Caring and Sharing. We are a nonprofit organization physically located in Hemingway, South Carolina, but we serve Georgetown County, Williamsburg County, and the southeastern corner of Florence and the tip of Marion counties as well. A little bit of history. 29 years ago, a gentleman by the name of Carl Harmon, who is the director and couldn't be with us tonight due to a death this morning that he is involved with. That didn't come out quite right, did it? He's sensitive too, I'll put it there. But Carl was working for a contracting company with International Paper Company 29 years ago, and he walked away from the job feeling that he had been led by God to undertake some endeavor that he had no idea what it would lead to or what the future would hold. He ended up with a group that repaired homes, replaced rooftops, built handicap ramps, painted houses, and ultimately led into a small food pantry that he operated from the garage attached to his home. Fast forward 29 years, and Caring and Sharing is an organization that is led by a food distribution center that serves over 1,000 people each month. We distribute food. We distribute between 20 and 30,000 pounds of food each month to these folks. We are involved in assistance with utility bills. We're involved with assistance with burnouts from house fires. We're involved also with financial assistance with catastrophic financial occurrences within families that they have no control over themselves. And 2 years ago, we began a new program that involves these ramps that you see on the screen right now. Most of our volunteer corps have aged out and not capable of building wooden handicap ramps, and we were having a lot of demand for accessibility issues with homes in our service area. So we came up with the idea of providing these aluminum handicap ramps for temporary type of needs. We call them temporary use. Examples would be recovery from a surgery, recovery from an accident, even terminal illness type of situations. But we loan absolutely free, no cost to families that have those type of issues. And then when the need no longer exists, we go in and pick those ramps up and relocate them to help other situations. To date, we have placed 53 of those ramps around our service area, and that continues to grow each and every day. We're going to put in 3 within the next 10 days. So that program really is continuing at a pretty rapid pace. So I've told you a little bit about what we do. Oh boy, if Carl was here and I skipped this one, he'd kill me. In addition to the other services, we've distributed to date over 70,000 Bibles throughout 14 countries across the globe, and that continues to be a big part of our ministry, if you will, as well. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we do. Now I want to tell you a little bit about the people that we serve. And we refer to them affectionately as our neighbors. And I know that the opinion and the comments that are made frequently when we talk about a food bank or a food distribution center, we often get that you have the stigma associated with that, where people observe and look at that operation and they say, well, those people are lazy. Those people are no good. Those people could help themselves. We don't need to be feeding those people. Well, I want to tell you a little bit about those people. First of all, we register our neighbors each year and re-register and update their information each year. And we get financial information from them, and we learn more about these folks. And I can tell you the nature of about 85% of our neighbors' household income is less than $1,500 a month. 60% of that total is less than $1,000 a month. And I'm going to tell you why that is. The majority of these people were hard-working individuals, salt of the earth people that worked as hard as anybody in this room their entire lives. But they worked in areas that actually probably served a lot of us. They may have waited on you as a cashier at a convenience store. There's at least one member of council old enough to know that they might have pumped his gas at a service station one time, not calling any names. But the point is, people all their lives worked in employment in situations where health insurance was not available. Retirement plans were not available. The jobs they worked in were basically minimum wage jobs, which meant they built their base for Social Security benefits based on minimum wage their entire lives. Some employers thought they were doing them a favor by paying them cash under the table. You don't draw much Social Security benefits off of the cash that you received. So bottom line is, these people were hard-working individuals. They are not lazy. They were not lazy. They're not people that are just not trying to help themselves. They are people that are just part of the system, and the only benefits they have at this time in life, when they're no longer able to work and not able to serve, are limited to that Social Security check. So what I'd like you to do, before you stereotype, before you categorize, before you put somebody in a bucket, because they are showing up at 6:30 or 7 a.m., 2 hours before the first food is handed out, waiting in line. Some are on bicycles, some are walking. Most of them have to pay somebody to bring them to the bank. Here's what I'll challenge you to do. February 1st, I want you to set aside your paycheck, retirement check, your Social Security check, set all that aside for 1 month and take $1,000. Just put $1,000 cash at your disposal that month. And I want you to take 1/12 of your homeowner's insurance, set that aside. I want you to take 1/12 of your vehicle insurance, set that aside. 1/12 of your property taxes, set that aside. Your rent payment, your home mortgage, set all of that aside. And then I want to see you survive purchasing food, utility bills, and the other bare necessities of life with the remainder of that $1,000. And that's what these people go through. They are wonderful people. And there are thousands of people in our area that are facing that type of plight every day. And those are the things that we try to address with our mission, where we help those in need in many different ways, those that can't afford to provide for themselves to match those needs. In closing, I'm going to ask the ushers come in and we'll pass the plate. But in all seriousness, we are very fortunate to have a lot of good nonprofit organizations in our community that help and collaborate with each other and serve with each other to try to meet the needs of those by no fault of themselves, find them in very difficult situations. And I thank you for giving us the opportunity, all of us that are serving in those capacities, to be able to come here and showcase our individual work areas and gain support and help from those that are able to help us. So thank you very much. I wish everyone well, and I'm going to stick around to see my Maya get her award, and then I'm going to be checking out. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hemingway. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Hemingway?
I have a comment. That gentleman that just spoke, I've known him for a long time. He took me on my ride around the county back in 2010 and explained to me what I was getting into. And he is a personal friend of mine, and he's as good a guy as you'll ever find, I'll tell you that. Known him for a while. Thank you.
Yes, my concern is, how can we help, number one? Secondly, what is your objective? What is your objective for 2026? I know you made mention that 85% that makes less than 15,000. You also made mention 60% makes about 1,000 per year. So my question concerned, what is the objective for 2026? And how can we help?
To answer your first question, the way you can help is a check. But kidding. We have volunteer opportunities with the food bank itself, with the RAMP program. So we'd be glad to talk with you about that type of thing. As far as the objectives or goals to try to alleviate, you know, in our position, we don't have a lot of the capability to move the needle on that income level. All we can do in our capacity is to try to help them with their needs and help them survive, if you will, with the income level that they have, and by providing and helping out and assisting with the needs they have that they just can't afford to provide for themselves.
Thank you.
Are there any further comments or questions? Thank you, Mr. Hemingway. We appreciate everything you do for Georgetown County. Next, we move to the Employee of the Quarter, our Q4 2025 Employee of the Quarter. We have a report from Ms. Kelly Robertson-Slager, our Economic Development Director. Ms. Slagle, you have the floor.
Good evening, Council. I'm honored to have been asked to recognize Georgetown County's Employee of the Quarter for the fourth quarter of 2025, Ms. Maya Morant. Maya has been an invaluable asset to the Department of Economic Development, particularly during a period of significant transition. When the department was without a director, she truly held down the fort, ensuring day-to-day operations continued smoothly, supporting key partners, and keeping critical projects moving forward without disruption. She also played a critical role in ensuring a seamless onboarding for me as the new Economic Development Director. Her steady guidance, clear communication, and institutional knowledge were essential, not only professionally, but personally, as I learned the community and transitioned both in my role with Georgetown County and as a new full-time resident. In my first 9 months, I've seen firsthand Maya is highly respected by her peers across the economic development community. Her professionalism, integrity, strong relationship building skills have strengthened our partnership with both South Carolina Department of Commerce and elevated Georgetown County's presence throughout the region. She consistently goes above and beyond her formal responsibilities, stepping in wherever needed and offering her time, expertise, and encouragement to colleagues and community partners alike. Maya has also been instrumental in the coordination and success of the minority business programming in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, helping build trust with local entrepreneurs and expanding opportunities for underrepresented business owners through hands-on outreach and encouragement. Beyond her professional role, Maya is deeply engaged in community organizations and nonprofits, reflecting her heart and passion for serving the people and businesses of Georgetown County. Maya exemplifies the values we strive for in county government: reliability, initiative, professionalism, and community-centered approach. It is my honor to recognize Maya Morant as Georgetown County's Employee of the Quarter for Q4 2025.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Again, congratulations, Maya. We will move down to our ATAX recommendations. Our report is from Ms. Megan Colgrove, our Finance Director. Ms. Colgrove, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and County Council. Tonight, it's my pleasure to present to you the 2025 ATAX Committee recommendations. Included in your packets for tonight is a spreadsheet that lists all of the agencies that applied and the amounts the ATAX Committee is recommending they receive. The total amount available to be awarded was $1,971,493. There were 31 requests for funding, and the committee is recommending awarding 28 of them with the funding. We would like to thank the agencies that applied, the ATAX committee members, and the staff for their time and dedication to this process. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Colgrove. Are there any questions for Ms. Colgrove? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on the ATAX recommendations by Ms. Colgrove. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Mercado. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Morant. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? The recommendations are accepted. Thank you, Ms. Colgrove. We move down to our public comment section. A public comment period is included on each meeting agenda and shall be limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, and no speaker may yield his or her allotted time to another speaker. A timer is provided on screen. At the end of your time, please wrap up your comments promptly. While speaking, please be sure to address council only and refrain from personal attacks. Council will not respond to any questions during this period. While a speaker has the floor, and the public will respect the speaker and allow them their time to address council. Members of the public who wish to address the council during the public input period should sign up with the clerk to council before the meeting. And one note, when you're signing up, please give us all your information on that sheet so that if staff needs to comment or needs to contact you, they have the information needed. So please fill it out correctly and fully. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers for tonight's meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have 14 speakers signed up today, and as you stated, each will have 3 minutes. Our first speaker is Mr. A.D. Jordan.
Good evening. I am A.D. Jordan. I'm with U.S. Senator Tim Scott's office. I'm one of his regional directors. You might have noticed that we have not had much of a presence in Georgetown County lately. It's not because we don't want to, but the one that most of you probably knew, Caitlin Osley, moved to New Orleans and is engaged. So we're in the process now of picking a new regional director. It could be me, I'm not sure yet. But just the same, I wanted to come and let you know that we still know you're here. We still know there's needs that you may have, and we're willing to try to work with you any way we can. So I hope that you will take one of my business cards for that reason. And if you look on it real closely, you'll see that my cell number is on there. It's on there for a reason. They didn't want to put it on there. I made them put it on there because if I stand before you and say, call us, I for one need it, mean it. And Senator Scott does too. So regardless of who represents Senator Scott, we all know those lines are imaginary. You call me at any time. And let me tell you what I mean by that. And that is anytime any of your constituents has a federal issue, like passports, Social Security, VA, Medicare, IRS, anything like that, we have a full-time staff, and that's what they do, is they work on those issues all the time. So let's turn some requests in and give them something to do. Also, as far as the county is concerned, any type of issues that the county may need from us, please let us know. And just a quick example is we do a lot of grant support letters. I can't say for sure if they will or will not, because I don't make the decisions, but again, we won't know if we don't try. So if you got something coming up, please let us know. And on a personal note, I'd like to say that I feel like I'm among family because I too used to be an elected official. I served on 8 years on North Charleston City Council and 8 years on Charleston County Council. So I understand what it takes to run a campaign. I understand what it means to make those tough decisions. And in today's world, I know what your families go through. So you have my admiration, you have my respect, and let us know what we can do to help you. Thank you.
Everett Allen.
Good evening, I'm Everett Allen. I live in the Waccamaw Neck. I'm here tonight to discuss the development of Magic Oaks, specifically the connection between the stormwater system and the protected trees on the property. It's my understanding that the proposed drainage system is to require 5 feet of fill over the whole project. I'm here to talk about how the tree regulations will make this system unworkable. Under 1301.8, mass grading of property, it says if fill material is applied to a site that covers the majority of the site, protected trees must be preserved by the use of tree wells that will prevent the added fill from eventually killing the trees. See Appendix A, for example, of a tree well. I gave County Council a copy of Appendix A for them to review. Now imagine that that well is 5 feet deep and as large as the drip line of the trees. The well walls will create a problem. The IRC, that's the International Residential Building Code, on elevation changes over 30 inches require a fence/railings to keep accidents from happening and someone or something from falling in. On a tree protection plan, they got the wrong details shown if indeed they are adding the fill. It should show the well with railing details so County Council knows what they are approving. I see more problems at the north and south property lines where the neighboring property intersects the tree protection circle. How would that work? The well wall and 5 feet of fill just stop at the line? I bet the neighbors will like that. The locations where the protection area is a full circle creates many more problems. One, will the newly created pit hold water? Well, it will drown the trees. What would the homeowner do? 2, grass will grow under the tree canopy. How would you cut it? 3, will weed-killing chemicals also kill the tree? 4, do you want to require steps to get in and out of the pit? And will the gate of the project need railings? The builder would have to hold the 5 feet of fill to the edges of the project. If they taper the fill down, the property lines will lose the whole idea that the stormwater runs to the drainage collection areas in the center of the project at the street. And besides that, they can't discharge any water onto the neighboring property. This proposal is totally unworkable. You should vote it down and have them come up with a plan that actually works. Thank you.
Dwayne Draper.
Good evening, Dwayne Draper. The requested amendments to the Magic Oaks FDD are mostly innocuous. The more important consideration is the multitude of revisions to the stormwater management plan that is still awaiting approvals of significant consequence. The Flexible Design District Ordinance, Section 631.9, Stormwater, states, quote, "The project shall meet the requirements of the Georgetown County Stormwater Ordinance if applicable," unquote. The fact is that this council approved this ordinance change at second reading without either Georgetown County Stormwater or SCDES approvals. The overarching question being reviewed by DES is the stormwater management system. The design is an infiltration system that utilizes underground stormwater chambers to be constructed underneath the roadway on property that already has a high water table. If thousands of truckloads of fill will be brought in to mitigate that hydrology, it is still not permissible to install underground infiltration chambers within fill dirt. And what will be the effect, as Snipe pointed out, Snipe Allen pointed out, will be the effect on the remaining trees' root systems. DES is still reviewing whether this design to be deployed adjacent to protected shellfish waters of Polly's Creek is appropriate or recommended. Part of the request to amend this FDD includes an area for a dry pond and another area designed as a swale, both of which are components of the stormwater management plan. How can you approve a plan that is still incomplete and in review? The three site maps in your packet depict different configurations of the underground stormwater chambers, differing by number 8, 9, and 13, placement, and size. It is not clear which design is currently being reviewed by DES. The request for these FDD amendments without having the necessary approvals from Georgetown County Stormwater and DES for the critical stormwater management system is a lot like putting the cart before the horse. I would respectfully request that this matter be deferred until all outstanding concerns and reviews have been addressed and are in compliance with Ordinance 631, Flexible Design District. Thank you.
Dan Stacy.
Good evening and Happy New Year. Tonight I have on the agenda items 10A, 10B, 10E, and 10F. They've all went through the Planning Commission with a favorable recommendation. There were no letters of opposition or public comments in opposition to any of these. I know Holly will deal with them in detail at second reading, but if you have questions about those items and she cannot answer them, I will be here to do so.
Felicia Howard.
Good evening. I'm Felicia Rue Howard. I'm here to speak about item number 11 on the agenda. I know it's the first reading for rezoning from forest agriculture to R6 for a 40-acre site on Kent Road. And I want to tell you a little bit about Kent Road. But first, I want to have the folks who are my Kent Road neighbors to stand and make sure that you know that there's a large group of people that are very concerned about what it is that is proposed on Kent Road. The area is currently zoned forest agriculture, as I indicated, one home per acre. And what's being proposed is a high density, the highest density zoning in the county for as many as 7 homes per acre. Kent Road is a rural community. Every road that connects with Kent Road is a dirt road or a gravel road, and there's several that connect with Kent Road. Most of them are narrow roads that you have to pull over to one side in order for somebody to go past you. The area has been, many of these folks have lived there for a very long time. They were not here necessarily able to sign up for the to speak this afternoon, but they're no less concerned about the fate of Kent Road. Many have lived there for decades. I heard at the Planning Commission, some have lived there for 100 years. My family has lived there for 7 generations, and over 150, almost 150 years. And so we're very concerned about what will happen there. We're concerned about the character of the area, the rural character of the area. We're concerned about impact to wildlife, to the wetlands, impact to the roads, traffic, even people who travel by foot from place to place on Kent Road. There's a lot of families that live together on Kent Road, and we hope that you will deny this request and preserve the rural character of that area, and that we can not move from the least dense zoning to the highest possible dense zoning in one fell swoop for the benefit of someone who's lived there or who's owned property there for 5 months. Thank you.
Tyrone Frazier.
County Council, good afternoon. I am Tyrone Frazier, and I'm also a concerned citizen from Kent Road. Like Ms. Howard has already stated, we are looking at the rural character. It's going to be very decreased if this proposed subdivision is allowed to come to order. The highest density area that's in a rural community, very rural community, Our road only has 2 lanes. It's very difficult to get out if you have a hurricane evacuation as it is. If you have a storm, then the water table at Sanford River is very high. They have to close the bridges at the times. The schools are not able to be functioning at Sanford School. We can't get out. The infrastructure of the roads are very decreased. If it has if the water damages it, then the middle portion of Kent Road, you're gonna be stuck in and you can't go on either way. The proposed subdivision is also already around a surrounding home that's at 425 Kent Road. And I know they are here tonight. They didn't get able to sign up, but they are here tonight, and that subdivision will be centered basically around their home. So I'm asking you, how would you feel if you was to bring a subdivision around your place of residency that you already live in now? The increased noise, trafficking, and the overcrowding, and the affordability of the housing. I know we are talking about affordability for the community, but really is 300,000 on up affordable to the character that we have and to the economic job that we have in the community already. 300,000 is mainly modular homes or either a mobile home. So who's going to pay $300,000 for that type of house on Kent Road? Also, sewer is not on this road. Every other road has sewer. I know in your packet it says that Georgetown County Water and Sewer says that they are able to extend sewer to that proposed subdivision. But are they going to extend it just for the subdivision, or are they going to extend it for the whole road? Why are you just giving sewer to a subdivision? In the adjacent property notification, several property owners that we have spoken to have said that they have not been properly notified, and I know this might not come from your body, it might be the planning commission, but what is the process of notifying property owners of rezoning changes that are taking place? When that page in your packet on page 210, a lot of those property owners have stated that they have not been properly notified. And one last thing, the planning commission has already recommended to deny this rezoning change by a vote of 5-0, and I just ask that you find it in your heart to do the same. So please deny this request. Thank you.
Crystal Grant.
Good evening. I would like to speak on ordinance number 26-01, which is Kent Road. On Kent Road consists of Oak Grove, Kent Road, and Puncher Creek. We all family on Kent Road. I've been there 62 years. I lived there all my life, except for traveling military. But I lived there all my life. It's Kent Road, where they want to put this housing development, it's a secondary road. And right, to get on from Kent Road to Center Light Road, it's hard enough now. So I'm telling y'all, you're going to have to put a red light there. And I doubt you can put a red light there because probably about 100 feet is 521. Today, there was an accident on 521 at 9 Mile Curve. It was a 3 or 4 car accident, and it was bad. I passed it. It was really, really bad. So plan to put a red light at the end of Kent Road and Center Light Road. These developers is coming in and buying up these family lands, offering people a little bit of money, and they're destroying our community. All right, they're offering to build houses, and they're saying it's affordable houses, but how could a $250,000 house could be affordable for the people that's in Georgetown County? There's no jobs for the young people to afford to pay $250 or more or whatever for a home. They can't afford it. I talked to a young man today at work. He wanted to buy a home. He can't afford it. He don't make the money, he can't afford it. His wife working, he still can't afford it. And it's a mobile home that they was offering to sell. I'm asking, they're cutting down the trees, they're building in development, want to turn us into the, walk them on neck, but you destroying the countryside. I'm having coyotes. I have a farm down in the Kent section. Coyotes is coming in. So they're clearing out this land and they're building houses but they're not thinking about water flow, like water flowing, or the wildlife. So I'm getting coyotes coming to my house. My cousin was saying they're getting coyotes in Oak Grove. I'm asking y'all, please to deny these developers coming in. I know if it's affordable, yes, not house on top of house. And if they want to develop, go into the cities and remodel these abandoned homes. Go out on a major highway, but not secondary roads where families have lived, and it is country. I mean, my kids come from Columbia, and they love it. They ride in four-wheelers and enjoying the country. I got guineas. I don't want a housing development next to me calling, saying my guineas is disturbing them. We in the country. This is country. I'm please asking y'all to deny. I see you laugh. Deny these developers, or please stop these developers and keep them from turning our country, beautiful country area, into Paulie's Island and walking on. Thank you, Mr. Bob.
Donald. Oh, there he is.
Good evening. I'm Donald Reed. I live north of own the property next to Magic Oaks on the north side. I wish to reference an email exchange between Sarah Reed, Critical Area Project Manager at DES, and the Earthworks groups regarding the proposed docks for the Magic Oak property. In that correspondence, Ms. Reed stated, I see that the middle area is shown as a kayak launch. If the intent is to establish this as a community dock corridor, it would need to have at least 50 foot of frontage. In addition to have a community dock, you have to show that 5 lots have been eliminated from having a private dock. I will remove any reference to a kayak launch from the middle parcel. This communication establishes the following facts. The developer never informed DES that a private kayak launch was being proposed. DES explicitly advised that a kayaking launch or a community dock could not be permitted if the developer intended to retain the 5 private docks. The developer knew from the onset that a kayak launch of any kind was not allowable on the Magic Oaks property. Despite this, the developer continued to represent to the council that a public kayak launch was feasible and used that representation to obtain approval from this project. Selma, I believe they attacked you with that. That representing this was inconsistent with the DES guidance that could not have been accurate. The Earthworks Group has repeatedly asserted that they are experts in dock design and permitting, and therefore they should have known from the beginning that what they were proposing was not feasible. Based on these facts, the original approval should not have been granted, and the proposal currently before you should not be approved. The developer submissions have been incomplete and misleading, and the council cannot rely on the accuracy of their information. Thank you.
Kathy Reed.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Reed, an adjoining property owner of Magic Oaks. As you probably already know, since I've spoken at most of the Planning Commission and council meetings regarding Magic Oaks. In the past, I've presented photos of the property flooding during high tide events, trees being cut and cleared without permits. It seems the Planning Commission and County Council prefers to turn a blind eye and deaf ear to this evidence, so I'm not going to waste my time presenting any more facts, though I do appreciate the people here tonight who have. The chair, county chair, and co-chair ran on agendas to protect the environment and have committed to prioritizing a wetland ordinance to protect our waters from storm flood, pollution, filtration, damage. Just curious how many of you have seen this property. I know Bob Anderson has taken time to see it. I invited Stella a year ago, but she didn't have time then. Not sure if she's found time, but it's a beautiful property right on Paulie's Creek. The property was originally designated conservation preservation on the future land use map. For years, we lived there, and that was our understanding, until the developer wanted to develop it. So you changed the flume, right? The kayak launch was added without approval. Now the removal is up for approval. What do you call this? Reactive zoning? By reacting to whatever the developers want for that almighty tax dollar? Without any regard to the environment? It's easy to talk the talk, but it's harder to walk the walk. When are you going to do something to actually protect the environment? Nothing about this development meets state or federal guidelines to improve the water quality of Pawleys Creek. When are you going to start proactive zoning to align with the protecting the environment and our natural resources? We're longtime taxpayers and would like to see you protect our environment and our community for once. Thank you very much.
Bill Hills.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and council members. Thank you for your time and service to our great county. Although I'm a member of the County Planning Commission, tonight I'm speaking for myself only and not for the commission. We've all heard the call for more development in the Western County, and I agree with the reasoning for it, but I'm shocked that we have no plan for managing it. Having no real plan for population growth is exactly what has caused so many problems that we're experiencing on the Waccamaw Neck where I live. It's imperative that we learn from that experience and not repeat it in what remains of our county. 30 years ago, if you asked people to describe Georgetown County, they would have talked about a rural lifestyle with farms and hunting tracts, a network of tight-knit county crossroad communities. Those communities like North Santee and Sanpete, Lambertown, Kent, Pleasant Hill, Rems, Browns Ferry, Dunbar, Chopee, Plantersville, and Yohanna are what defined our county. Today, because of our lack of planning, this treasured rural lifestyle is in danger of disappearing into the dust of development, only to reappear as the name of some new subdivision. We have the opportunity to act now to protect these communities, and we must. We have to stop these housing developments that are trying to locate in these rural communities. As county has designated land for industrial development, why not do the same for residential development? Would it not serve a greater good than allowing developers to put hundreds of homes where they want them instead of where the residents who built this county want them? Georgetown County is blessed with thousands of acres of vacant timberland, which is for sale as we speak. Development of these large tracts will not affect these communities beyond the passing traffic. No multiple houses per acre in what was once a farm pasture across a 2-lane blacktop from where your parents raised their family and you're raising yours. I've identified several tracts with good location, good access, good elevation, few wetlands, water and sewer, and most importantly, no rural communities to destroy. I urge you, beginning tonight, to deny any request for rezoning for greater density in the Western County that has an effect on a rural community. I ask you to call for a workshop with the Planning Commission in order to form a plan for the development of the Western County. Thank you.
Dan Park.
Hello, I'm Dan Park with the Earthworks Group. We are the engineers for the Magic Oaks project. Just want to let you guys know that we were here. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to address them. And just remind council, the only thing we're voting on tonight is a zoning issue. And you guys are voting to allow us to remove a kayak launch that we were not able to get access to through the adjoining property. And we're voting on the relocation of a amenity from one side, from one lot to another lot. I have heard no one speak at all about those two issues, which are the only things that are actually being voted for. We're not discussing stormwater or trees or anything else. Those are handled by the engineers and by the regulatory agencies. That is their job. It's what they do. They'll make sure that this stuff works. That's pretty much all I have. If you have any questions, please ask them. Thank you.
Mary Beth Klein.
Good evening. I'm Mary Beth Klein. I live in the lower Waccamaw Neck. Thank you first for allowing the public an opportunity to speak. And I'm here to remind you that Magic Oaks is a flexible design district. And according to our Georgetown County Flexible Design Ordinance, the plan is the zoning. And that plan must comply with all requirements of the stormwater ordinance in order to be even eligible for consideration or approval as a flexible design district. And modifications that affect stormwater are considered major changes and must come back to you each time there's a change. For this and for many other reasons, this rezoning really should never have been approved in the first place. According to our engineer, in the last 2 years, the proposed underground stormwater plan has been in a constant state of revision. It is now on its 10th revision and still does not meet the requirements. And many more revisions are likely, because according to the EPA, this site is not suitable for the underground system that's being proposed due to high water tables and water quality. Finally, after 2 years of correspondence with the DES, the applicant has acknowledged these fundamental design failures and now proposes to raise the elevation of the site to as much as 5 feet of fill. But even that won't make it viable, because it violates other important state and federal requirements that don't allow the proposed systems to be installed in filled dirt. The bottom line of all of this is that this plan does not comply with the county's stormwater ordinance as required by the county's FDD ordinance, and this rezoning should be deferred pending final stormwater plan decisions. To do anything other than defer or deny is a violation of your own ordinance and invites another legal action, in addition to wasting your time and the county's money. Thank you.
Cindy Person.
Good evening and Happy New Year. My name is Cindy Person. I am here as attorney for adjoining landowners on the Magic Oaks rezoning. You are being asked tonight to rezone this land to a new FDD from a previous FDD rezoning that also changed the comprehensive land use plan from conservation preservation to medium density, which is part of a lawsuit, but that's the context. The primary issue tonight, though, is that our FDD ordinance, section 631.9, states as follows: with respect to the eligibility of a project to be considered for an FDD zoning district, quote, the project shall, that's mandatory, meet the requirements of the Georgetown County Stormwater Ordinance, close quote. This includes state and federal regulations as well. An FDD is not an ordinary zoning district. It's not traditional zoning for a piece of land where you zone it, and if somebody wants to develop it, they later submit a site plan for review, modification, permitting, more modification, permitting. For an FDD, the plan is the zoning district, and the zoning district is the plan. So don't be confused. The changes you are requested to approved tonight are not revisions to a site plan, which is the way they were handled and characterized at Planning Commission. You're being asked to approve a brand-new FDD zoning ordinance, which means you have to follow the FDD ordinance from the beginning as brand-new zoning. According to the plain language, the project shall meet stormwater ordinance requirements. We don't have that at this point. We do not have compliance. The FDD was approved prematurely the first time, and it will be approved prematurely if you approve it this time. We would respectfully submit to you that by the terms of your own ordinance, you have no choice but to defer this pending a stormwater decision. We understand that's not your decision to make, but you don't have the authority to move forward with FDD until there is compliance with the stormwater ordinance. Your own ordinance says so. So we would ask you to please defer this pending a stormwater decision or deny it outright. Thank you very much.
Tripp Neely.
Hi, my name is Tripp Neely, and I'm the owner of Magic Oaks. I've been a builder around this area for almost 40 years. You know, in this area now, we have a lot of bigger builders, and I know people's concerns about housing and the way things are being done. When I rezoned this property, I could have done almost 150 units on this thing. I thought that I would get public support for bringing it down to 27 units. And you can spin this thing any way you want to. You got to keep it green here. It's got represents people on both sides of it. They're suing me. One's overfill, and we've had stormwater. We've had things about wetlands. We've had all kind of things that it's all been in the papers over and over. I'd like to point out that when I did this thing, I fished in Polish Creek all my life. The best way to handle stormwater is to take it and sift it through rocks and fabric. When it goes in the ground and it goes through that stuff, I've done this on another project and it really works good. And I wanted to show you guys, you know, the people that are against me is the village is on one side and the neighbor behind her and Mr. Reed back over here. The stormwater system that I didn't want to do was an open water pond because everything takes a crap in it. There's paper and all kind of stuff that goes in it, and it ends up going through the pipes and goes into Polish Creek. The adjacent property owner that's suing me now is Mickey Sykes that owns the villages. They've got their own stormwater guy. We're actually on round 12, I think, on comments on stormwater. The pond next to me, the village is next door to me, they don't even have stormwater. This is their stormwater pond right there, which goes to a pipe, then it goes to a ditch, and then it goes to Polish Creek. Get a picture. You put me in the paper about everything else.
Mr. Neely, please address council. Thank you.
Here's the pond at the village right here. I don't know how much garbage that is in there, and I don't know how long it's been built, but every time a big storm goes, that goes into Polish Creek. That's the people that suing me, that's telling me I'm doing a stormwater system wrong, and I'm spending $600,000 on it. I could have just done a pond to start with. What I'm doing costs more money. All right? Dr. Reed, I know good and well that this is a hard time for you to tell.
Mr. Reed.
Yes.
Please address council.
Okay. This is Dr. Reed's house that I took a picture of, and he's telling me not to fill my lot, but his lot's been filled 38 inches. That's your house right there, Dr. Reed? I'm with Mr. Reed.
Mr. Neely.
Yeah.
Council only,
Well,
please.
that's what it is. I took a picture of this today and had it blown up. He's filled his lot the same amount I wanted to.
That was our final speaker.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. We move down to the consent agenda. It's item 6A, RFQ number 25-058, Comprehensive MS4 Permit Support and Stormwater Engineering Consulting Services, IDIQ. The Evaluation Committee recommends awarding indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts, or IDIQs, with the following two highest-ranked firms: Woolpert Incorporated and Infrastructure Consulting and Engineering, LLC. Procurement number 25-114, Ford F-250 brush trucks. County Fire Chief Falconberry and Director Ellis recommend awarding the lowest bidder to Dick Smith Ford of Columbia, South Carolina, for a total cost of $143,356.88. These items have already been approved, approval of the agenda. Move down to appointments to board and commissions. The Economic Development Alliance Board, Vice Chairman Stella Mercado has been recommended for appointment to the Economic Development Alliance Board. The chair will entertain a motion on this appointment.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Newton. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Vote 6-0. Counselor Mercado is now on the Economic Development Alliance Board. And we move down to Planning Commission. Counselor Raymond Newton has recommended the appointment of Allison Newton to the Planning Commission representing Council District 5.
Yes, this is, excuse my voice, I'm getting over the flu here. Miss Newton, who's not a relative of mine, she's presently been serving on the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals, and I feel she'll do an excellent job on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I ask for your support.
Thanks, Counselors. Thank you, Counselor Newton. There's a recommendation on the floor for appointment of Allison Newton to the Planning Commission representing Council District 5. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to give this a go again and say so moved.
Second by Counselor Anderson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? Welcome, Ms. Newton, to the Planning Commission. Move down to resolutions and proclamations. Resolution number 2601, Declaration of Official Intent to Reimburse. We have a report from Ms. Megan Colgrove, our Finance Director. Ms. Colgrove, you have the floor.
Thank you. In November of 2024, the residents of Georgetown County voted in the capital project sales tax. As part of that referendum, we, as the county, have permission to bond our projects. In order to do that, we need this resolution of intent to reimburse, allowing us to get reimbursed for any expenses that we will incur prior to obtaining the bonds. The resolution is a formality that has to occur so that we can move forward with obtaining the bonds. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them. Otherwise, staff recommends that you approve Resolution 2601.
Thank you, Ms. Colgrove. Are there any questions for Ms. Colgrove? Hearing none, the chair will hear a motion on Resolution 2601, the Declaration of Official Intent to Reimburse.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the council adopts resolution number 26-01.
There's a motion to approve by Councilor Morant. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Mercado. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? Resolution passes. Move down to third reading of ordinances. Ordinance 25-48, a request to rezone one parcel approximately 23,208.93 square feet located at 627 Bellamy Avenue in Merle's Inlet from general residential to general commercial, TMS number 41-0118-006-00-00 in my district, Council 1. We have a report from Ms. Richardson. Ms. Richardson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening. This half-acre parcel is currently zoned GR, or general residential, and the property has most recently been used for storage. For many decades, it's also been used as a repair shop and for other commercial uses throughout the years. The property owner has requested this straight rezoning to general commercial in order to make the property consistent with its current use and also with the adjoining property to the northwest that you can see is also GC there on your zoning map. The surrounding tracts, there is GR zoning to the northeast, south, and southwest, and general commercial zoning to the northwest of the parcel. This tract, like I said, is only half an acre, but because there is adjacent commercial zoning, this would not be considered spot zoning. Our future land use map designates this property as residential mixed use, or RMU. RMU does allow for a mixture of neighborhood serving or low-impact commercial and institutional uses. Since the current designation does not conflict with the existing or proposed uses for the property, we're not recommending a change to the future land use map for this request. This rezoning will help correct a nonconformity in terms of use, make the zoning consistent with the current use as well as the adjacent parcels, and is consistent with the future land use map. Planning Commission held a public hearing back in November. No one came forward to speak. They voted 6-0 to recommend approval. We haven't had any changes since we discussed this last at second reading.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Are there any questions for Ms. Richardson? Hearing none, the chair will hear a motion on ordinance 2548, request to rezone one parcel approximately 23,208.93 square feet located at 627 Bellamy Avenue, Merle's Inlet, from general residential to general commercial, TMS number 41-0118-006-00-00 in District 1. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Newton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Anderson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries 7-0. Move down to ordinance 25-49, an ordinance to amend the Magic Oaks Flexible Design District, FDD, located on Highway 17 directly south of the Hammock Shops, to remove a kayak launch and relocate an amenity center, TMS number 04-0158-060-00-00 in Council District 2. Ms. Richardson, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. This is an existing flexible design district that was approved in 2024 for a 27-lot single-family subdivision. The applicant recently filed a request for a major change to the FDD under section 631.132 of the zoning ordinance. This would amend the PD with two major changes. One is the removal of a kayak launch. Access to the proposed kayak launch through the adjoining property owner was not able to be achieved. Therefore, this new amended plan shows that the kayak launch has been removed and that property has been added to lots 17 and 18. The second request for a major change is the relocation of an amenity center. The amenity center has been relocated from the left side of the memorial pavilion on the plan to the right side. This was done in order to reduce the impacts to a 22-inch laurel oak and a 32-inch live oak. And it will also now put the larger 48-inch oak tree on community-owned property as opposed to being on a single-family lot. This is also a major change based on section 631.1324 of the zoning ordinance. Major changes to flexible design districts require a planning commission recommendation and 3 readings from council before they can be approved. There has been a good bit of discussion about stormwater. Just as an update from last time, there's really not been any change since we discussed this at second reading. The stormwater permit has not yet been issued, is still under review by our stormwater department and, to my knowledge, by DES. There will be no construction permits, of course, issued until such time as those approvals are given, and those requirements for stormwater and state approvals are listed as conditions for this flexible design district. The final plat for the major subdivision development would, of course, need to be approved by the planning department prior to any land disturbance or permits. The planning commission recommended approval of these changes to the FDD with a vote of 5-1. There were several people that spoke in opposition at that meeting, mainly stating stormwater, trees, the amount of fill brought in, legal concerns, and bulkheads and docks related concerns. There are also some opposition letters in your packet that were attached. Beyond that, we haven't had any changes to this proposed ordinance since second reading.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Are there any questions for Ms. Richardson on ordinance 2549?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think I've got a few.
Councilor Anderson.
I thought this was going to be a simple evening for me, but I'm beginning to wonder. Let me start out with the easy question first, and that is, I think Mr. Parkside asked you about configuration management and how we were doing that on this project. I was having a problem following revision levels, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to ask Ms. Holly and Ms. Carla, if you didn't get back with me, I'd ask you to please do that and explain to me what we're doing as far as configuration management here. And I'm going to ask Ms. Holly, did he come back to you with anything?
Can you just clarify, Mr. Anderson, configuration management?
Well, that's, you know, on the cover page of the technical data package, there's always room for anytime you make a change. You'll normally start out at a blank revision, And then when you find some things you need to do in your drawing packages, as it progresses, you will go maybe change A or change 1 or however you want to keep track of them with a little bit of an explanation of what you changed at that time and a date on it. And, I brought this up when we had the hearings in here that I was having a problem following all that. And so that's why I asked Mr. Parks to give me that detail. Just all I'm looking for is what's on the cover page, and does it track with all the changes that have been made over the last few years or whatever it's been. And I have not seen that.
Yes, sir, I did discuss that with Mr. Park. I think he can explain it here again, too. I think it was just a revision date that was missing, but he did reference another label that's on the plan that shows that the revision has been made, but I'll let him explain that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I thought we had covered it at the previous meeting, and I wasn't aware that you were looking for any resubmittals. But on the left-hand side, down towards the bottom,
Right.
is the published date for when the document was actually published. And because this is a rezoning, we don't typically do revisions on rezoning. It'll be in all of our stormwater stuff and all of our full data package, or our full submittal. It is up to date on that document.
Okay, but I can't, I kind of wanted to track your progress.
Okay.
And I just lost it there.
I apologize about that. I did not understand that you were looking for that specifically from our last meeting. And it's always on that left-hand corner. Any of the documents that you would review, if you look in that lower left-hand corner, will have the published date of the document.
I've only been privileged or able to look at a couple of different drawing packages. And that's, I'm schooled in looking at configuration management, and that's what I was looking for. I just wanted to follow your thought process through this design, and we had a lot of changes, and I just wanted to make sure that we had considered those in that history.
As far as the history of this project, the only thing that is really changing from a zoning standpoint is we submitted the original one. It did get, and I'll back up and just go ahead and give you the history if you want. That way we can go ahead and have everything there.
No, we can do that offline. That's why I was hoping you'd call me and explain to me what we had been through here, because this has been an interesting case study.
I apologize. I did not know that you were looking for a phone call. I did not interpret that from our previous
Well, I
meeting.
think I remember saying I'm easy to find.
Okay. I did not realize that that was what you were looking for, sir.
Okay.
But anyhow, the project has been approved previously. The only thing from that previous approval that is changing is we're relocating an amenity center. We are removing the community dock because we could not get access to the hammock shops. And the stormwater, there's a surface pond, which would be handled through a minor change. And I want
So
you to
that won't show up on your change list, or it will?
We don't normally do change lists for rezoning. That's just not a normal thing for us.
I've never been in a project, involved in a project where you didn't track stuff and have configuration management.
There's not normally a revision to zoning.
All right, that's the way you do your work.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, that's up to you. It's your business, not mine. But I always like to follow what was going on with projects that I was involved in.
Like I said, on our full engineering stuff, that is tracked and it is taken care of.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for, I think we're glued together, and give me a call if you would. And
Not a problem.
Pay a visit. I just want to, this is in my district, I'm responsible for it.
Yes, sir.
And I just want to understand what the heck we're doing.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Holly, now I'm going to get into the confusion part. I'm confused now with what I heard from a couple of people that spoke. And I thought that this flexible design district thing was like all of our other zoning ordinances, in that it wasn't a moving target. It sounds to me like until we get a final design that we want to do, that's when the plan, and the plan is the design, becomes the zoning ordinance. Do you agree with that? Am I making sense to you? I mean, this is pretty heavy, what I heard.
The conceptual plan is what's approved by the flexible design district. So the density gets approved with that, the setbacks, the uses, the land use that's in each section. That's why we're here for some of those proposed changes that are major changes. But when the FDD was approved back in 2024, it was approved with the condition that it receive other regulatory approvals. So no project is approved without meeting the stormwater ordinance when it's required. So that was placed as a condition in the 2024 approval. So final construction approval, which is issued by staff, by the planning department, will not come until those things are in hand and done.
Well, how can we, if this is a moving target, how can I sit here and make a motion to ratify this flexible design district plan when it's still a process in work?
All our conceptual approvals still have those regulatory permits in progress. I mean, I don't know of an instance where we've brought you something conceptually for a plan development or an FDD where someone already has all those approvals in hand.
So if I make a vote to ratify this tonight, it's really not the end of the road then?
No, sir. No, sir, certainly not. In terms of a moving target, now let's say for an example, something about the stormwater review changed something that would be considered a major change under our ordinance, and it meant that they could add more lots, or it meant that where a pond is, they need to put lots there, something like that that falls under a category of a major change, then it would come back to you.
Okay, well, that's not what I heard from the legal eagles that were out here talking, but Mr. J, what can you tell me about this? Because I'm really confused now about, why are we going to ratify this FDD if it's still a project, a work in motion?
Well, I wouldn't accept the underlying premise that you say that it's a work in, what'd you say, a work in motion, a work in process?
A work in process. I mean, we've still got it. We haven't approved the stormwater plan. There's talk about all this filled dirt.
Correct.
And all this stuff going on.
I understand, but Ms. Richardson stated it well, that I can't remember the term she used, but some of the primary elements of this were approved at the time council voted for the rezoning. But the conditions were in that. So you have approved the rezoning subject to conditions, which are forthcoming as, DES or stormwater or others give their reports or their decisions on it. So it's not moving in the sense that you don't know what's happening out there on the ground. What may happen is that further down the process, DES, stormwater, someone else could raise an issue that either is approved or becomes insurmountable, or whatever the case may be for the developer.
By doing that, are we following the letter of the ordinance? I don't want to get in another lawsuit here if we're not following our ordinances.
Well,
now, I realize that, I'll be the first one to tell you, if there's some things that aren't in the ordinance that people try to do end runs with us on, and we get burnt on that, and I understand that, but it's looking to me like this is straight up that, it's still a work in process, because we haven't permitted the stormwater. The state hasn't permitted the stormwater. Whatever's going on with the docks, the only thing I knew we were going to be doing tonight was taking the kayak ramp out of the picture. But it looks like it's a whole lot more complicated than that.
Well, there's two things. The kayak launch is being removed, and an amenity center, which was originally in the plan, is being relocated to protect some trees, essentially, is a big part of it, at least in part. So I wouldn't say that your plan has suddenly been flipped on its head or changed. These are changes which, as I recall, staff looked at to see whether they could be approved as a staff change, as a minor, on the staff level, as a minor change, or whether it required council approval, and they concluded that they would determine it a major change requiring council approval.
But again-
I would, Ms. Richardson, if I misstate something, certainly jump in here and correct me, but that's my recollection. Now, I think what you were referring to earlier is a comment that was made that the plan is the zoning and the zoning is the plan.
Right.
I don't know that I would necessarily agree with that. I wouldn't want to go back and look at the specific language that's being referenced there. I have found that my interpretation of statutes and ordinances and law often differs from my colleague who made that comment. So I'm not prepared sitting here right now to tell you that I agree or disagree with that. That one seems a little surprising to me. I do know that our staff has looked at this intensely, and they've consulted with me a couple of times, and then they've continued to go and do their work. So I would trust Ms. Richardson and our staff's judgment on this at this point.
Okay, well, I think I'd like to, legally, I'd like you to take a look at this.
I'll do that.
Before I myself or anybody else makes a motion to approve third reading, which is, we're codifying this thing as far as I'm concerned, if I'm making sense. So, Mr. Chairman, with that, if you'll ask for a motion, I'll make a motion.
Does anyone else have any questions for Ms. Richardson?
Yeah, I have just a couple. If I can get through with this voice.
Councilor Newton?
We're here for two things. Is this correct? Kayak launch and the amenity center?
Yes, sir, that's the request.
That's what we're voting on.
Yes, sir.
So I heard previously a lot of opposition to the kayak launch. Now the developer has decided to remove the kayak launch. And did I hear correct? Now they're against that also. I don't, where I come from, that's playing both sides of the fence. You either want it or you don't want it. You can't have it both ways. Then the amenity center, he's moving the amenity center to save live oaks. Is this correct?
That's my understanding. Yes, sir.
So we don't like live oaks now because we don't want the amenity center moved. I'm just trying to, the water's very muddy. And anytime you got muddy water, a lot of times, I better not say. But I think I understand where we're going.
Here's where I'm coming from. That's what I thought too, but I didn't realize that in this case, the way this ordinance is written, the plan could be the flexible design district. And if we're not finished with the plan, we're still working on it. And this is just the latest change. There's other things to be done, i.e. doing the stormwater permit and all the other things that have to be done. That's what I'd like to have our lawyer, Mr. Watson, tell me what he's thinking. I haven't read this, and so I don't have my own opinion either. But I'm not ready, and I would hopefully respect that nobody else up here would make a motion to pass this thing when I'm bringing this up.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Morant.
I'm somewhat confused at this point myself. Here's where we are, Ms. Richardson. What I wanted to understand is from what you stated and what's in our package, this plan has already been approved back in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. I think the plan has been approved.
The conceptual plan and the FDD zoning was approved in 2024.
Yeah, and there are some contingencies within that approval right there pertaining to the stormwater and kayak launch and all those type things. And as Mr. Newton was saying, the kayak, I think there are a lot of discussion regarding the kayak because we started with benefit the public at that particular time, but then the public came out for it and then it came out against it, and then the developer decided to just remove that kayak launch completely. Is that correct?
At that time, the plan was to access the kayak launch through the adjacent property, and the adjacent property owner was not amenable to that.
And it seems, I have to pull Mr. Anderson, thanks. And it seems as though tonight we're here really for just two particular instances, whether we will approve the removal of the kayak launch and the amenities to save the live oaks. And that's all we're here for tonight. I know there are a lot of discussions about stormwater and everything else, but those were placed within the contingencies when the plans were first approved, if I'm not mistaken, aren't they? So we really here tonight just for two things.
Yes, sir. Those are the two changes that the developer, that have been necessitated by various reasons, that fall within the purview of what's considered a major change, which means it's not something staff can sign off on. It must go back through the process. Those two are the reasons that this is here tonight.
So our decision would be whether we would accept those changes or not, basically.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like the floor again for just a minute. So I'm trying to look at this thing logically too. So that tells me, I think, that we could go through 3 readings on this thing several more times based on other changes that may happen. For instance, you know, they don't get the stormwater permit or whatever, then we're going to have to go through all this again. And that's just unusual for us to do on any type of a development, whether it's a PD or a FDD. I didn't know that. That's where I'm coming from.
Be if those changes are something that falls within the purview of a major change. So
Okay.
if the stormwater plan requires that they can't do 27 lots and they can only do 25 lots, that's a reduction in density, that's a minor change, and planning staff can sign off on that. But again, if it's something that caused an increase in density or a change in land use, something that falls within that section of our ordinance, then yes, that plan would have to come back through the process again.
So if the stormwater plan were not approved, they would have to take some kind of an action.
Well, if a stormwater plan is not approved, they're not going to get construction approval, so the project can't
Right.
get started. So they would have to make some sort of changes and resubmit, and we would have to assess that to see if those were minor or major changes.
And we're going based on your understanding of what the ordinance says.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you feel the same way about that, Jay?
Well, I'm looking at it now, what was referenced earlier, and I do not hold the same opinion that you can so broadly sweep and say the plan is the zoning and the zoning is the plan. What it says is the project shall meet the requirement of the stormwater ordinance if applicable. But what wasn't mentioned, I apologize, I'm on Miss Holly's phone looking at this and I keep losing the screen, but if I can scroll down a minute, I saw previously, administrative procedures is 631.12, administrative procedures with regards to flexible design development zoning districts. It says within this, at a later date, and I'm skipping into the middle of it, I want to make that clear.
Let me help you a little bit, because somebody mentioned paragraph 631.9.
That's the one I read earlier.
Okay.
Where I am now is,
Can you read that again, please?
which one?
The 631-9.
Let me come back to that, because I keep
Okay, all
losing
right.
the screen
All
here.
right,
So,
that's fine.
but it does say here, if approved by county council, all information pertaining to the proposal shall be adopted as an amendment. At a later date, revised conceptual plans may be submitted to the planning department for review and approval, provided the changes do not constitute a major change. So final plans for each phase shall be submitted to staff for their review and approval. The ordinance itself contemplates that there may be changes within a flexible
Okay.
design district, that those can be submitted. This is what I was referencing earlier. Those can be submitted for staff review to determine whether there are major or minor changes. It does not, none of that language would seem to indicate that suddenly you're starting over, that this is a moving target, that this suddenly, the zoning is no longer valid zoning. It is within the ordinance itself, language that contemplates there may be changes. At a later date, changes may be submitted, okay? Back to 631.9, that is simply dealing with stormwater. That's the title of it, 631.9, stormwater. That's the title. The project shall meet the requirements of the Georgetown County Stormwater Ordinance if applicable. Article 7 of the zoning ordinance regarding the ratio of pervious to impervious surface area shall also apply. That's it. That's the extent of it. Okay? So, again, what the ordinance is saying is, when you have a project such as this or an FDD, if you If stormwater is applicable, that too applies. It's a layering of requirements.
Right.
All right? So to whatever requirements apply, you have to consider those, you have to put those within the plan. But the fact that you are working through this process doesn't negate, it doesn't nullify the prior approval of the council. The ordinance itself has language contemplating there may be changes as you go. I just read that earlier. All right? So, no, I do not share the opinion earlier. Now, underlying, or not just underlying your question, but other question, or part of your question you stated earlier is you want to make sure we don't get a lawsuit. Well, nobody can guarantee that.
Oh, I know that. If
And,
somebody
you know,
can,
when I was in private practice, people
Yeah.
would come into my office all the time and with a question, can they sue me? And my answer was always yes. Doesn't mean it's valid, doesn't mean it's proper.
Understand that.
but-
You know, you can
So,
sue
there you
a
go.
ham sandwich, I know that. So,
That horse is dead.
now Holly, you also said that the stormwater plan is a minor change?
The changes on their current plan that showed the shifting of the ponds, or maybe it's an additional pond, yes, that's a minor change.
Okay, what about removing all of this stormwater system itself? I mean, that's what seems to be the direction everybody wants us to go through, except for the developer, and I'm trying to balance this out here in my mind.
It's hard to answer that, Mr. Anderson. We would just have to see how that affected the plan, how that affected the lot layout, how that affected the street pattern. You know, if that caused them to cut a large tree that they were moving around and that was in an amenity to save, you know, we would just have to assess that new plan when it came.
So that's kind of subjective. You know, so we're, you know, if we vote for this, we voted ourselves out of the final design, correct? We won't review it to be finally codified.
Well, you won't review a final stormwater plan.
No, I'm not the storm, the whole shooting match. I mean, you know, normally when we have a subdivision, we end up having the final word on whether it goes or it doesn't go, based on all the parts, correct?
Well, this process is the same as all those other previous approvals have been. When we approve a plan development zoning or a flexible design zoning, it is always contingent on stormwater plans being approved. And if that stormwater plan were to kick something in that was considered a major change per our ordinance, then we'd have to bring it back before you. But to my knowledge, most every time that this body signs off on a new zoning district, it's contingent on that stormwater plan being approved, and you don't see it again unless there's some reason, unless there's something that kicks it
So
back.
the flexible designs district is not really any different than any other ordinances we do for, you know, like a PD or whatever. They're all the same.
I mean, there are a few changes between the FDD and the PD, the main one being, of course, that you can't do a single-use plan development. That was frankly the impetus for the flexible design district, but they're set up the same in terms of minor and major, yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Okay, are there any,
I've asked everything I need to know.
are there any further questions for Ms. Holly on ordinance 25-49?
I've got a couple questions. Holly, can you give us the background of the process of how this got approved, including some of the comments that were made by some of the public that spoke earlier?
This went to the Planning Commission, and the minutes, I think, of its original review by the Planning Commission are in your packet on page 46. This went back in February 15th of 2024. And Mr. Dan Park, again, was the agent, made the request, and that was a rezoning from general commercial, because this was GC in the front, general residential in the back, which was multifamily. At that time, staff presented the report, as we always do, with the information, addressed the future land use map, and then there was a public hearing. There were several adjacent property owners there with concerns. The commercial property owner came, the residential property owners to the back. And then there was the Keep It Green Community Group, which did come out in support, although they did mention concerns about the comprehensive plan designation for that time. It's kind of hard to remember exact details from that meeting from way back in February, but that's the information that the minutes show.
And the original zoning, so it was GR in the front and conservation preservation in the back, and with GR in the front, at the time, the comment was made that they could have put 150 dwellings.
I believe it was GC in the front along 17, and then GR, and then the wetlands in the back were conservation preservation as far as the zoning at the time. So yes, they could have done multifamily on the GR section.
So this is over 120 units less than, which was why it was approved, because the public approved it. They had met, I believe, if Mr. Park is here, he had meetings with the group, and they were amenable to it, and yeah, please. I just want to understand the history of this rezoning.
Yes, ma'am. We did meet with Keep It Green before we ever even introduced this. We originally actually.
Who from Keep It Green did you meet with?
Cindy was there, and I believe she brought a couple other people with her. I do not remember exactly who all was there.
Okay.
But anyhow, we met with them. We originally were just going to go with the existing zoning, and we were going to do I think it was like an 8,000 square foot lot, straight zoning. And they were against that. They asked for us to put it into a flexible design district because that gave a little bit more control over to the council and to everybody else, knowing that it can't change. You know, this is more of a locked in. Now, I will say I regret that, because if we had gone to standard zoning, we would not have this conversation about an amenity center or about a kayak launch. And we would have ended up with the same product. So I don't think that I will be following their guidance in the future, just so you know. We tried. But yeah, we went through that whole process. Everybody was in favor of it. And then for some reason, they decided whenever it was coming before council that they were no longer in favor of it. I don't know why that is. Still don't understand. Like you said, you went from potentially 140 some or whatever it was units. We also had designs where it was a big box store out front because it was general commercial, and we still had a bunch of duplexes in the back that were more than this project. The developer did not want to see that in Pawleys Island. We explored it, but he was like, no, that just doesn't fit this area. He didn't want to do that. He had every right to do that under the original zoning.
From a stormwater perspective, wouldn't 150 units be very much impactful?
It's pretty much the same. You're be doing multifamily where everything's built up versus what this is single family. So you would have had either townhomes in there or a condo or something of that nature in order to accomplish that. And that many units, I believe, was restricted to just one-bedroom units. Most likely, it would have come down from that because you would want to have some diversity in those units.
2 years ago, it was approved because that, and the public
Yes.
wanted that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so now we're moving a potential public amenity, which was a kayak launch.
Yes.
Which is unfortunate because it would have been the only access to the Pawleys Creeks for the public.
As a kayaker, I would have loved to have seen it. I kayak Pawleys all the time. I got to go all the way down onto the island to get into.
But that has to do with access. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to do with stormwater.
No.
That's a completely separate issue. And then Holly, from stormwater perspective, on any rezoning, there's going to be requirements that are regulatory, correct? Including stormwater.
Anytime that there's land disturbance that trips the stormwater requirements, yes.
And that would
Rezoning,
also
subdivision,
affect
commercial
tree
project.
ordinances and any other ordinances that we have.
Yes.
And that the state or federal government have. And we wouldn't typically have purview over those. Those agencies would make those determinations.
That's right. It's my understanding that the stormwater department will, may give conditional approval, but it's always contingent on that approval from the state.
And is it normal if we approve something from FA to plan development, that we put all those conditions in place and that would still come back to us? It's already been approved, right? The zoning would have been approved.
Once the zoning's been approved, if there's no more major change, then as the ordinance says, the final plans then are reviewed and approved by the planning department.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I had one more comment coming from me, and of course, these folks out here are in my district. I support them in what they've had to say. But the thing that bothers me most about what's going on here is that we're putting together a stormwater plan, and we have to have one, and I understand that. The problem I have with the plan that we've got is, can you all hear me? Okay. The problem I have with this design is, and I think I've told most of you this, these folks are going to have to bring in over 3,000 tandem load truckloads of dirt to fill in to make this process work.
But we're not voting on the stormwater.
I know we're not. I'm just giving you my, as far as the end result, where I'm coming from, because I've looked at this thing every way in every direction. And that's the biggest issue I have. I mean, we got people that are having problems with using these vaults in this type of system. Why don't they just use retention ponds, et cetera, et cetera? But my big problem personally, if I was living there, was it on, what is it, 7 acres, Holly? About 7 acres?
Yes, sir.
That we're going to bring in 3,000 tandem truckloads of dirt on 7 acres. And, you know, we're going to be building a small mountain between the people to the north and the people to the south. And that's it for me. And I won't say anything else.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Are there any other questions or comments for Ms. Richardson? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 2549, an ordinance to amend Magic Oaks Flexible Design District, or FDD, located on Highway 17 directly south of the hammock shops, to remove a kayak launch and relocate an amenity center. TMS 04-0158-060-00-00. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Newton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Cooper. Is any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? Vote carries 6-1. Move down to ordinance 2550, amendment to the fiscal year 25-26 budget ordinance. We have a report from Ms. Megan Colgrove, our finance director. Ms. Colgrove.
Thank
have the
you.
floor.
Ordinance 25-50 amends the fiscal year 2025-2026 operating budget as outlined in the body of the ordinance. There have been no changes to the ordinance since the second reading. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. Otherwise, staff requests that you give third reading approval to ordinance 25-50.
Thank you, Ms. Colgrove. Are there any questions for Ms. Colgrove on ordinance 25-50? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 2550, an amendment to the fiscal year 25-26 budget ordinance. Is there a motion on the floor?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve ordinance number 25-50.
Thank you, Councilor Morant. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Cooper. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? Ordinance passes. Move down to second reading of ordinance. Ordinance 2551 to rezone 1 acre tract located on the northern side of Margot Lane and Merle's Inlet section of Georgetown County from split zone forest agriculture and general commercial to general commercial. TMS number 41-0402-016-01-07 in Council District 1. Ms. Richardson, you have the floor.
Thank you. This parcel is on Margot Lane and is currently split zone between FA and GC, Forest and Agriculture and General Commercial. There is currently a single-family structure located on the property. This request is to go to General Commercial so that it is consistent with the adjoining property to the east. Both of these zoning districts allow for single-family homes, so changing the zoning will not affect the current use of the property. You have the setbacks and the lot sizes provided there for you in your report. This site is provided utilities by the Georgetown County Water and Sewer District. The surrounding tracts are zoned FA to the north and the west and commercial to the south and east of the parcel. This lot is only 1 acre in size, but there is commercial zoning adjacent to it, so spot zoning is not an issue. In this neighborhood, we have single-family homes, mobile homes. There is a church there too and a cemetery with also some open-air storage in that location. Our future land use map designates this property as res, RES. Adjacent properties are also designated as res, and there is also a core commercial district in the near proximity to the east of this tract. Staff does not feel that a change to the future land use map is warranted based on this tract's close proximity to an existing commercial designation. This rezoning will help correct the split zoning of the tract and make the zoning consistent with adjacent parcels. Any future development of the tract would need permits and approvals, of course, from the building and the zoning departments. The Planning Commission voted to recommend approval for the rezoning with a vote of 6-0. At that time, we did not have any public input on this item.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Are there any questions for Ms. Richardson on ordinance 2551? I do have one.
Yes, sir.
Has Mr. Edie indicated why he wants to rezone this to GC?
I'm looking at his application. The only thing listed here under the explanation was to be consistent with adjacent and adjoining properties that are zone GC.
Okay.
And it is currently split, so that does kind of restrict the use of the property because you got to apply FA setbacks to one portion and GC setbacks to another portion.
Okay. That top portion of it, if we rezone that, does that automatically bring in, I'm looking at the map of it, the current zoning map, that top triangle on the, will that bring that into GC or will that have to be applied for as well?
No, sir, and that is a little messy, but that's not a part of this request. Mr. Edie can't apply to rezone, you know, an adjacent parcel that he's not the owner of. So, yeah, that'll kind of be left out unless, you know, we could initiate it, I guess, for that triangle, or that property owner would have to come in.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have. Are there any further questions for Ms. Richardson on ordinance 2551? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 2551 to rezone 1 acre tract located on the northern side of Margaret Lane and Merle's Inlet section of Georgetown County from split zone forest agriculture and general commercial to general commercial GC TMS 41-0402-016-01-07. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Charlton. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed, motion carries 7-0, sorry. Move down to ordinance 2552 to amend the Willbrook Plan Development PD located at 160 Willbrook Boulevard in Litchfield to add medical office, professional services, and clinical space to the list of uses. TMS number 04-0409-001-20-00 in Council District 6. Ms. Richardson, you have the floor.
Thank you. There are two existing structures on this parcel. It was previously used as a Learning Institute campus as part of Coastal Carolina University. It's also been leased to Tidelands Hospital and been used as their billing and account system center. Currently, to my knowledge, the two buildings are vacant. The Willbrook PD, which encompasses not just this property, but as you know, the not Piggly Wiggly, but the Food Line grocery store, the residences further down Willbrook Boulevard. It's a very large PD. It was originally approved in the 1980s as a mixed-use PD and has about 2,400 acres. This parcel is about 3 acres and is located behind the Hampton Inn at the corner of Willbrook and St. Paul Place. Prior to the enabling legislation, our planned developments, especially large ones like that, contained underlying zoning districts. So you would have the PD as an overlay, but you might have different sections with different zoning districts as a base district. And at that time, this section was designated as resort commercial. The permitted uses for resort commercial include everything that's allowed in our GR or general residential district, tourist homes and restaurants, but not drive-ins. Or drive-throughs, I assume. The proposal here is to change that list of uses from the RC uses or the resort commercial uses in order to specifically allow for medical offices, professional offices, personal services, and clinical space to address uses that a new tenant might need. We would require what we call a change of tenant permit before a new tenant comes into place, and at that time we would also check that there's adequate parking for whatever that proposed use might be. There are no new structures being proposed as a part of this. Again, this is more about a tenant switch out and the uses that are allowed If there were new structures to be proposed, they would have to meet the requirements of the Building and Zoning Department. These proposed uses are in keeping with the surrounding area and are more suitable than several, frankly, of the resort commercial uses under the current designation. Staff recommends the following conditions: that they receive a change in ownership or tenant form, and that any new construction or signage be reviewed and approved by the correct departments. The Planning Commission held their public hearing on this back in November. No members of the public spoke, and they recommended approval with a 6-0 vote. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Ms. Richardson?
Is the reason that we're getting this amendment to the PD is because it's a major change?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
A change in use is a major change. That's on the list.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 25-52 to amend the Willbrook Plan Development PD located at 160 Willbrook Boulevard in Litchfield to add medical office, professional office, personal services, and clinical space to the list of uses, TMS number 04-0409-001-20-00 in District 6. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Mercado. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Anderson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Ordinance passes 7-0. Ordinance 2553 to rezone one parcel totaling approximately 31.47 acres located at 665 Chip Mill Road in Georgetown County from Forest Agricultural FA to Heavy Industrial HI, TMS number 01-0404-002-02-00 in Council District 3. Ms. Richardson, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. And to maybe try and save us a little bit of time, I'm going to address 10C and 10D together. They both address this 31-acre parcel on Chip Mill Road. This property is located to the south of Andrews, and it takes over both sides of Chip Mill Road. There are only 2 residential homes within a 3/4-mile radius of the track. This request is to go from FA, or Forest and Agriculture, to HI for these 31 acres in order to allow for the continued use of the chip mill, but as a future use as a potential asphalt plant or a gravel storage yard. The HI zoning allows for any permitted uses that are in the LI or limited industrial district, any industrial use and operations incidental to that use. There are also a number of conditional uses, and I think that the listing for HI is provided in your packet. The setbacks are 50 for the front, 30 for the sides, and 30 in the rear. The maximum height limit within the industrial district is 70 feet. The tract is surrounded by FA zoning on all sides. However, there is some HI zone property to the east on 10-acre road that's about 500 feet away from this tract. The water here is provided by the Georgetown County Water and Sewer District. There is not wastewater currently available to the site. This is a private road, Chip Mill Road. Any repairs or improvements that would be done to the road would be at the developer's expense. Our future land use map shows this property as rural residential. The current designation does conflict with the uses that are proposed for the property as an industrial site, and there is other employment, or EMP, which is what we used to refer to as industrial in our future land use map. There is another EMP land use classification within a few hundred feet of this site, and we believe that a change to the future land use map is warranted. That's item 10D, the next item on your agenda. In conclusion, this request is a reasonable request considering the property was used as an industrial type business in the past as a wood chipping mill. It's not considered spot zoning based on its size, and again, there is some adjacent employment future land use map designation near to this one. This request will significantly broaden the list of allowed uses and would allow for an asphalt plant and gravel storage yard, certainly with conditions as requested. The Planning Commission reviewed this request. They recommended approval to you with a vote of 6-0. We did not receive any public comments on this item. The commission also recommended the change from rural residential to employment on the future land use map.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Are there any questions for Ms. Richardson on ordinance 2553? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 2553 to rezone one parcel totaling approximately 31.47 acres located at 665 Chip Mill Road in Georgetown County from FA to HI, TMS number 01-0404-002-02-00 in District 3. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Newton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Cooper. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We'll move down to ordinance 2554 to amend the comprehensive plan, future land use map to reflect the redesignation of tax map parcel 01-0404-002-02-00 located in the southern side of Andrews off Chip Mill Road in Georgetown County from rural residential and conservation agriculture to employment in District 3. Ms. Richardson.
Yes, sir. This is just the future land use map change for that same site.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any questions for Ms. Richardson on 2554? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 2554 to amend the comprehensive plan future land use map to reflect the redesignation of tax map parcel 01-0404-002-02-00 located on the southern side of Andrews off Chip Mill Road in Georgetown County from rural residential and conservation agricultural to employment in District 3. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Kukla. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Newton. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries. Move down to ordinance 2555 to rezone two parcels located totaling 1.39 acres located at 2401 North Fraser Street and 68 Jessamine Avenue in Georgetown from the Yawkey Medical Center Plan Development PD to General Commercial GC TMS number 02-0103-031-01-00 and 02-0103-031-04-00 in District 7. Ms. Richardson, you have the floor.
Thank you. And this report will also address our last two here, 10E and 10F. These parcels are within the Yawkey Medical Park Plan Development. They do contain vacant structures. This PD was, we formally referred to this as the Cancer Center PD. It was established in 2002. At that time, it was approved for a cancer care center, pain therapy, and various other medical office buildings. They added to the PD in 2007 to the 2 tracks south of Jessamine to allow for further medical offices. They added one more parcel in 2013. So this has been amended to multiple times. The request here is to remove 2 of the parcels, 1.39 acres, from the PD. That would leave 23.2 acres in the PD, which of course exceeds the minimum 2-acre requirement. Again, this is being done as a major change because any amendment to the boundary of a plan development has to come through as a major change, and obviously we need to designate those parcels with another zoning, and the request here is for commercial zoning. The surrounding tracts include, of course, the PD to the south and the west. There is commercial to the north across Jessamine Avenue and to the southeast across North Fraser Street. There's also MR10 to the east on the other side of North Fraser Street. There are both commercial and residential uses in the area. The future land use map designates this property as residential. Therefore, we do think an amendment to the future land use map to the commercial designation, especially since this is on Highway 701, and general commercial zoning is being sought, is needed. We don't think this is spot zoning, but again, we do think the future land use map should be amended to address it as commercial. The tract does contain 2 vacant structures that have been used commercially, and it is surrounded by commercial development. Planning Commission held a public hearing in November. There was no public input at that time, and the commission recommended approval with a vote of 6-0. They also recommended approval for the future land use map change, 6-0. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Are there any questions for Ms. Richardson on ordinance 2555?
Ms. Richardson, is there any idea as to what's going to occur on that particular tract of property? Any information regarding it?
I do not know that. I'm sorry? On the vacant tract, I think he said. It sounds like potentially office is the plan. But once again, if it is rezoned to general commercial, then any of those uses in the general commercial list would be allowed.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any further questions for Ms. Richardson? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 25-55 to rezone 2 parcels located totaling 1.39 acres located at 2401 North Fraser Street and 68 Jessamine Avenue in Georgetown from the Yawkey Medical Center Plan Development to general commercial TMS number 02-0103-031-01-00 and 02-0103-031-04-00 in District 7. Is there a motion on the floor?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of ordinance number 25-55.
Thank you, Councilor Moran. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Anderson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, ordinance passes 7-0. Ordinance 2556, an ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan, future land use map to reflect the redesignation of tax map parcels 02-0103-031-01-00 and 02-0103-031-04-00 located at 241 North Fraser Street and 68 Jessamine Avenue in Georgetown from residential to commercial corridor in District 7. Ms. Richardson.
Same property, this is just future land use map change that the planning commission recommended.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any questions for Ms. Richardson? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 2556, an ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan future land use map to reflect the redesignation of tax map parcel 02-0103-031-01-00 and 02-0103-031-04-00 located at 2401 North Fraser Street and 68 Jessamine Avenue in Georgetown from residential to commercial corridor. Is there a motion on the floor?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of ordinance number 25-56.
Thank you, Councilman Moran. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Anderson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, ordinance passes 7-0. Move down to first reading of ordinances. These are to be read into the record by title only. Ordinance number 26-01 to rezone approximately 40.49 acres located on the southern side of Kent Road, approximately 1,600 feet west of Saints Delight Road in Georgetown County from forest agriculture or FA to 6,000 square feet residential or R6. TMS number 01-0416-023-00-00 in Council District 5. Ordinance 2602 to rezone 4 parcels totaling approximately 32.5 acres located at 204 Green Bay Drive in Georgetown County from heavy industrial or HI to forest agriculture FA. TMS number 02-0416-017-02-00, 02-0416-017-02-01, and 02-0416-017-00-00 in Council District 5. Ordinance 2603 to amend the comprehensive plan future land use map to reflect the redesignation of TMS number 02-0416-017-02-00, 02-0416-017-0201, and 02-0416-017-0000 from employment to rural residential located on the southern side of Gateway Road near Andrews in Georgetown County in District 5. We move down to the approval of minutes, the regular council member minutes for December 9th, 2025. Is there a motion on the floor? So moved by Councilor Newton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Cooper. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed, minutes are approved. All right, are there any other business to come before council at this time? Hearing none, the council chairman will entertain a motion on adjournment. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Newton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Cooper. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, we stand adjourned.